Warren Buffett is one of the richest men who has ever lived, and 95% of that fortune arrived after his 60th birthday. Everyone knows the name. Almost nobody can answer the question that matters. How was the money actually made? The machine, not the quotes. This is Great Investors, where we take one legendary investor and ask that exact question. By the end, you'll hold all four parts of Buffett's machine and know why none of them is the part people quote. Start with the number nobody sits with long enough. Warren Buffett is one of the richest people who has ever lived. And of every $100 he has, more than 95 arrived after his 60th birthday. At 39, he was worth about $25 million. Rich, but not history book rich. The fortune isn't a story about brilliance striking early. It's a story about a machine that was never once switched off. Omaha, Nebraska, 1930. Buffett is born 10 months after the crash of '29, into the country the last episode of our history series left in ruins. His father is a stockbroker in a town where nobody wants stocks. The boy sells chewing gum door to door, then Coca-Cola bottles, then newspapers. At 11, he buys his first shares. 3 shares of City's Service Preferred, around $38 each. The stock drops to 27. He sweats, waits, and sells the moment it recovers to 40. It then climbs past 200. He will tell that story for the rest of his life. The first lesson was patience, and he learned it by failing at it. The turn comes at 19. Rejected by Harvard Business School, he discovers that the author of his favorite book, The Intelligent Investor, teaches at Columbia, Benjamin Graham. Buffett goes to New York, takes the class, and earns the only A+ Graham is said to have given in over 20 years of teaching. Graham's gift wasn't a formula. It was a temperament transplant. The market is not a referee. It's a manic business partner named Mr. Market. And price and value are 2 different numbers. You act only when the gap is wide enough to survive your own mistakes. 1956. Age 25, back in Omaha, he pools $105,000 from family and friends, his own stake, $100, and runs it for 13 years at roughly 30% a year against a market doing about 7. But watch the structure, not the score. He takes no salary, only a share of profits above a hurdle. He posts no holdings, so nobody can panic mid-thesis. And in 1969, at the top of a frothy market, he does the thing almost no fund manager in history has done. He finds nothing cheap and gives all the money back. Inside that partnership sits a grudge purchase. A dying New England textile mill keeps getting cheaper. Its manager lowballs him on a tender offer by $0.01, and Buffett, in his own words, idiotically, buys control of the whole company out of spite. Berkshire Hathaway. He later called it the worst trade of his life, and then turned it into the greatest compounding vehicle ever built. Because a company, unlike a fund, is permanent capital. Nobody can redeem it. And when he directed its cash into insurance, he found float, premiums collected today, claims paid years from now. Other people's money, held in the meantime, invested for Berkshire's benefit. The second mind arrives in the 60s. Charlie Munger, another Omaha son, talks Graham's disciple out of Graham's own habit, buying fair businesses at wonderful prices, the cigar butts with 1 puff left. Munger's rule inverts it. The proof comes in 1972. See's Candies, a California chocolate maker, bought for $25 million, a price young Buffett would have refused. It has since sent back over $2 billion in profit, every year raising prices with a brand nobody can copy. The lesson compounds more than the money. A great business does the work for you, forever. Now assemble the machine, because this is the part the stock tip videos skip. 1. Permanent capital. A company, not a fund, so the money can never run at the bottom. 2. Float. Insurance premiums that finance the buying at better than zero cost. 3. Retained earnings. Berkshire has never paid a meaningful dividend. Every dollar earned goes back in the machine. 4. Temperament. Cash held for years, then deployed in panics, like the $5 billion into Goldman Sachs in the week of 2008 when nobody else would answer the phone. Each part is boring. Together, they are why the curve goes vertical at the end. One position shows the whole method working at scale. 1988, after the crash of '87, cheapens the market. Buffett puts just over $1 billion into Coca-Cola. Boring, global, unkillable. Berkshire has not bought a single share since 1994. Yet as of this year, the dividend checks alone return roughly 6 of every $10 he originally paid, every single year, and the stake itself has multiplied many times over. Patience turned a soft drink into a bond that raises its own coupon. That company gets its own episode in this series' sister show, The Full Anatomy of Why It Works. So what can you actually take from him? Not the tickers. You are not operating an insurance company from your kitchen. What transfers is the structure, scaled down. Money you will not be forced to sell. That's your permanent capital. A written reason for every purchase. That's your protection against Mr. Market. And time horizons measured in years. That's your float. The fortune was never a secret. It was a design. Compounding, plus a structure that guaranteed the compounding would never be interrupted, plus 60 years. Most people can copy 2 of the 3. Almost nobody copies the 3rd. If you want to practice that owner's arithmetic on real companies, the platform at agenticsovereigncapital.com runs it every day, and our academy teaches the full craft from the first line of the accounts. This episode is education, not investment advice, and nothing in it is a recommendation. Next portrait, the man who built the machine beside him. A new episode lands every week. Follow so it finds you. We'll see you there.